Hello, this is Sunk here, and we're going to check out some ZvP from Liquid Sheth, because lately Sheth has been rocking his ZvP super hard, and I want to take a look at why and how he is crushing his opponents so dang hard. So the first replay I have is between Cuba Khaki and Sheth on Shakura's Plateau. They have spawned both at the top. Sheth is here on the right of the map, Cuba Khaki on the left. Cuba Khaki starts off with the Forge Fast Expand, and Sheth is going for what looks like a 14 pool into, looks like pool followed immediately by a hatchery. He sees that it's a Forge Fast Expand with his Overlord, and immediately takes the next hatchery. So it's like a very, very fast third. Cuba Khaki, while this is going on, it's really just chrono boosting out his probers. And if we take a look at the Sheth cam, we can see that he's really just trying to see what he can see with his Overlord. He sends it in right at 7 minutes, probably looking for a Dark Shrine or whatever tech he can find, and just keeps a couple units outside the ramp of Cuba Khaki. And the moment he sees Cuba Khaki move out with a few units, he makes just enough roaches and lings to push away with the amount of units that he sees. And there, he saw a probe along with those units, and now he's suspecting that a 6-gate push or something similar is going to be coming, and he's just going to cut drone production completely and just make a lot of units to fend off all these warped in units and all the warped units that are going to be warping in the future due to the probe placing the pylon that he saw. And for reference, Cuba Khaki has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gateways, and he cut right at 40 probes. Sheth has 7 more drones than Cuba Khaki does have probes.
Are under attack.
Open up the production tab. Sheth is making a whole lot of lings and a moderate amount of roaches. I don't remember exactly how many he had, but he had about 12. And he got, let's see, does he have melee weapons? I was noticing in the replays earlier that he was getting melee weapons, but on this map, it looks like he preferred to get very fast ranged weapons for his roaches, presumably so the roaches just kill things a little bit faster. And now the coolest thing in this replay is Sheth's awesome unit control. He makes his units last so dang long and deals so much damage. It is absolutely amazing and awesome. Now watch this unit control. Sheth has to hold off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stalkers, 7 zealots, plus whatever else warps in. And all he has right now is a rabble of like 10 roaches and a bunch of lings and a couple more roaches on the way. By a bunch of lings I mean like 20. I think most players would just die, but Sheth relied on his really great unit control. He engages the zealots with the roaches. Whenever the roaches aren't in any danger of dying, you can see here he actually pulled his Zerglings back away from Cuba Khaki's army, because he realized that the Zerglings at that given time, I'll try to rewind just a hair, he realized the Zerglings at that time weren't going to deal any more damage than what they had been, and just goes ahead and pulls them directly back. Great. Here. Being really careful not to let these roaches just die to the stalkers. Once these zealots get a little ways away from the stalkers, he engages with the roaches. Once he has a good amount of lings to wrap around Cuba Khaki's army, he goes ahead and lets his roaches engage. Although once the lings are about to die and he realizes that they're not going to deal much damage, he pulls them back. I'm going to slow this down a little bit more. Damn it, I can't. He pulls them back, and again, he's trying to keep the roaches out of range of the stalkers. And he's not letting his Zerglings just run over here and die, engaging this big ball. He's using his army to just engage the small bits of the army of Cuba Khakis that kind of wander away from the rest of the ball. if you were to engage this ball just straight up, he would lose what little roaches he does have. So here, some of the units are over here, some of the units over here. So Sheth deems it okay to engage. And now that the lings are gone, Cuba Khaki's army's in a nice ball together. He pulls his roaches away. Again, just picking off what strays away from the pack. The moment he realizes he could lose his small army, he pulls back and waits for more reinforcements. He really hasn't produced all that many roaches. If I check the kill count on these roaches, 2 kills, 1 kill, 2 kills, 0 kills, 0, 2 kills. And a lot of these roaches have killed expensive 100 mineral zealots or very expensive stalkers. So these roaches are being extremely cost effective. Plus one hasn't even finished. And he's just making sure that they don't die, and it doesn't engage the entire Protoss ball of units all at once. He picks off whatever he can, whenever he can. Here he deems it okay to engage, because he has all these drones, the Queen, Zerglings. He has a really huge surface area around the Protoss army. And then units are going to be rallying directly into the battle from these larvae. So it's just a favorable position to engage. It's also on creep, which of course helps. Watch what he does with the roaches. Doesn't want them to be being engaged by the stalkers. And keeps pulling them back. The moment he sees he's going to lose whatever units he has. And is just doing really, really good with his roach conservation during this entire battle. Again, he has Cuba Khaki's small army completely surrounded and just engages. And ends up trading pretty efficiently. It's like a rather nice 1-1 ratio of losses for both units, or both sides of the battle. And I'll go ahead and speed this up a bit. Basically, Sheth just kind of rampages, ends up killing Cuba Khaki's remaining forces, pulls ahead in the unit's lost tab, ends up pulling ahead in the worker count in a little while. During this attack, he's actually droning. His drone count is getting back up, equal, and surpasses Cuba Khaki's. And the rest of this game is just the late game, which is pretty similar to most other ZvPs, and I don't really want to show you the rest of the game. What was most interesting was the excellent unit control in the early game. Early game, he took a fast hatchery and delayed his gas, which means he delayed link speed, but that's okay because it's very likely that Cuba Khaki is going to be going for a forge fast expand. The moment he does see Cuba Khaki going for a forge fast expand, he immediately expands himself, taking advantage of the fact that Cuba Khaki can't be aggressive for quite a while thereafter. And the moment units start pouring out of the map, onto the map from Cuba Khaki's bases, is the moment he stops droning, starts producing lots of units. He sees the probe, sees a bunch of units being warped in, realizes it's some sort of gateway push, cuts drone production altogether, and has excellent micro that I tried to detail. And the micro was, I think, the absolute coolest part of this entire game. It's what left Sheth survive. If there was many a times he could have just left his roaches to stay in the engagement, or even links to stay in the engagement, where they only would have died. And instead of letting them die, he would grab them, pull them back, and then attack again with the reinforcements. He also constantly engaged Cuba Khaki's forces, the ball of Cuba Khaki's stuff, when a few units would straggle away from the pack. That way he could whittle down the ball until he eventually just overwhelmed it up here with lots of lings and roaches. Okay, on to the next Sheth replay that I have prepared. We just watched that one, now we watch this one. This one's against Liquid Huck on Metalopolis. This is a pretty similar replay. One thing I forgot to mention from last game is that with the Evo chamber, he went for ranged attack upgrade first, and then immediately followed it with a melee attack upgrade. That way his units can just be more potent in actually killing the Protoss units. So ×8 through the beginning. Sheth went for speedling expand. Puts speedlings at the bottom of the ramp. And ends up producing a pretty good amount of speedlings. And the speedlings are to presumably delay the expansion of Hug in case Hug was trying to go for a 1-gate fast expand. And is just forcing Hug to make a bit of army before putting down his Nexus. And I'm not exactly sure what tips Sheth off. I'm assuming it's the fact that there's only 2 gas units, which is 2 sentries. But it cues Sheth to lay down this Spore Crawler. And it actually saves him because of this proxy pylon warping in DTs. And the timing is rather impeccable. He's able to survive the early DT expand from Huck. And there's some really cool micro that ensues in a moment. Huck sneaks a DT around the back and then baits the Zerglings away from the sneaking DT with one in the front. And consequently gets a DT into the back. But then Sheth just kind of right-clicks all his units onto the Spore Crawler, letting it finish. And then transfers the Spore Crawler into the main. And constructed another one in the meantime. And now for the really interesting part of this replay. When Sheth just makes his Roach Sling army just so effective. Again, going for missile attacks first. He sees that the composition Huck has is Sentry Zealot, which is very bad against roaches because they have higher rate firing with lower damage amounts per hit, which makes the roaches innate 1 armor very effective against them, and ends up chasing the Sentry Zealot all the way across the map, forcing Huck to waste a lot of force fields, and I think he actually picks off a unit or 2. Flanks with some Zerglings just to slow the army down. And now Sheth has Burrow. So the overall idea of this counterattack Sheth is doing is that he just survived a DT expand. The DT expand didn't do much damage. That means he should be ahead economically, which he was in the past, even though Huck has a lot of probes now. And he used that economic advantage from stopping the DTs to get a bunch of units out, which are able to challenge and overcome the army value of Huck. He also saw that Huck was pushing out with Sentry Zealot, and the fact that he had sentries, a lot of zealots, and went DTs, means that there's not going to be any of those heavier, or very little of the heavier armor units like Stalkers, and definitely no Immortals at this time because of the investment into DT tech. You can see the Robo still being constructed in his 12 minutes into the game. Roaches are going to be good against everything, especially with Burrow, because the Robo is going to be delayed by the build that Huck used. So what can you get from this game? If you survive a DT expand, go ahead and counterattack with Burrow Roach, and you'll probably do a lot of damage. If anything, you'll delay their third by a long time and take your own and get ahead. And you can see here he has +1 attack for his roaches and burrows every single one that is damaged before it dies, and wins the game. And there you have it. 2 very interesting ways of playing ZvP. Both of them focused around making Roach Sling as cost efficient during the battles as possible. If you like my content, please do subscribe. It's a great way to directly support me and help me get out additional content. And be sure to check out any videos that I release in the near future.